So today's video, we're just going to actually go over some quite common questions I get asked when I'm actually playing on the tour, and just some things that go on sort of on and off the table. So we're just going to play a really casual frame, not really too concentrated on the snooker so much, but just going over some like interesting topics that you might find you've often thought of yourself. So just break off here, get we're going. So the first question I get asked a lot, like I say, like as a sort of professional snooker player, is how much do you get paid, or how do you get paid? Obviously with snooker, it's quite different because it's totally like performance based. So it's all about how you do, obviously, in your matches. As a professional, we don't actually get a wage like footballers do or anything. It's just purely down to how we do in tournaments. So basically, in round one, if you lost your first match in a tournament, you wouldn't actually earn any money. So it can be very tough because sometimes that is obviously going to happen where you've lost your game and you've maybe travelled all the way to a tournament, and you've lost, and you're basically going home with nothing. They're some of the most sort of difficult times and journeys. So, but obviously, if you do win even your first match now in qualifiers or on the tour, you're gonna you can start earning money, and that's obviously the same with the ranking points as well. So whatever you earn money wise is going to go on your rankings. So it's quite a tricky question to answer, sorry. But obviously the better you do, the more money you're going to get, and the higher ranked you're going to be. As simple as that. So and obviously each round you win, the money just goes higher and higher. So yeah, it's pretty tough. Like I say, nothing's sort of guaranteed really. You've got to sort of win to earn anything. So there is some events which you are sort of guaranteed sort of a little bit of money in, but again, they're more focused towards the top end of the rankings. So you've got like your Masters that's just been on in January. That's like an invitation tournament where it's obviously the top 16, and basically I think they're actually guaranteed about £20,000 even if they lose first round. So it's not too bad if you did lose first round, but they've obviously earned the right to be in that position in the ranking to get that money. So it's all pretty fair. But the thing is, for obviously being a bit lower down the rankings, is players like myself would do rely quite heavily on like private sponsorship as well. Because like I said before, if I'm going to tournaments and I've got expenses of, obviously, say, it could be flights, hotels, spend, food, etc., fuel, anything, that's, that comes at a cost. So I'd say, roughly you're looking at least 10,000-15,000 a year just on expenses. So, it does certainly add up, and that's before you've even won any money. So if you've got some sponsorship, then that can take obviously some massive stress off your playing. So luckily I've had some good sponsors over the years. So basically when I've went to tournaments, I've just been able to concentrate on the snooker. I'm not sort of worried about actually too much about the money. I can just focus on the performance. Like I say, I know quite a few players where, literally they're going, and if they sort of win any money, then that's, basically sometimes just covering their expenses, which isn't obviously particularly where you want to be. I think it's just the where snooker is. Basically, it's not quite as big as the likes of golf and stuff like that. Um, there's only 130 pros in the whole world, so it's quite an exclusive tour, really, when you think about it. To be actually on that tour, you've sort of you've actually if you've achieved something just by even doing that. But obviously, once you get there, you want to try and obviously stay there, which is tough. But you want to try and earn as much money as you can. So question 2 is going to be, what's like the definition of success in snooker? So obviously that's going to be different and like relative to different players and obviously different sort of levels a little bit. So going from sort of like, just the tour itself, basically being like I said before, professional snooker player, that's actually quite successful in itself because you're one of the best 130 players in the whole world. So, there's even just one sort of thing you could say is a little bit of a success. But then how do you sort of define what's successful after that? I suppose it comes down to, how well you do in your tournaments, how much money you're earning, and obviously what your ranking's going to be. So I think when I first turned professional, obviously it was all brand new to me, and at the start you're almost just happy to sort of be there, but you're still very competitive and want to do your best. So it was just trying to get yourself used to the tour and everything that goes with it, and understanding that I was playing against the best players in the world, like week in, week out, in tournaments all over the world. So things like massively change. So I think you've got to be careful as well of saying to yourself, well, I'm not very successful because maybe you haven't earned loads of money. But like I say, the fact is with snooker, it is very tough. And also, there's there's literally hundreds and hundreds of players would love to be a professional snooker player. So that's what I'm saying about the definition of like being successful is a little bit down to yourself, obviously, and how maybe hungry you are and how competitive you are. Obviously, the thing that sort of, when I started winning more matches on the tour and playing in bigger tournaments, is once you get like a bit of a taste for winning and traveling to big tournaments in China or playing in actually like the World Championships, the biggest tournament in the world, is like you sort of, I wanted more of it, because to be honest with you, there's no better feeling than like winning obviously like big snooker matches on the tour, whether it's like I say a big tournament or beating like a high profile player. That's what gives you a lot of confidence. So like I say, it's a little bit different at the top end of the rankings, maybe, where the top 16, for example, are probably, if they keep their top 16 ranking and through the season, they're almost probably guaranteed roughly maybe 60 to 70,000 pound before they've maybe even played a shot. So that's it's that, which is quite nice. But to be fair, again, for being the top 16 in the world, it's still not a lot of money compared to your likes of obviously golf, maybe, or tennis, your other sort of solo sports, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it just depends sort of how you look at it. But there's definitely things that I still want to achieve in the game. So I think I've been fairly successful in my snooker journey so far. But I still believe I can go quite a lot further as well. So that leads us on to the third question, which is probably the one I get asked pretty much most days in the club, or people just know us as like Snooker John, is am I going to try and obviously get back on the tour? So, I mean, the simple answer is yes. So this year in May, I'm going to, play in Q School and try and get me tour card back. So I just had to pause there for a second just to change the microphone because of the one, the battery died. But I was sort of saying, just as long as I still think I can play, obviously to a high level, and I've got the belief, then you know, I'm gonna play, obviously, because as I've said before as well, you know, like with snooker, you can play it to, you know, quite an old age, really. You've got a lot of players winning tournaments well into the 40s now. Do you know what I mean? I think the average age in the top 16 is probably, it's got to be probably in early late 30s, maybe into the 40s now. So yeah, like I say, I'm going to be entering Q school in May and getting, so soon I'll start, you know, preparing for that, practicing more, doing more practice on my own and practicing with other good players to get me game in good shape for that. The next question is how do you actually turn pro? So we've just obviously spoke about one of them, which is Q school. So Q school is basically the last couple of years, I think it's been sort of 2 tournaments over about 10, 11 days. And basically you've got to get to the semi-final of one of them tournaments to get your tour card. So it sounds fairly straightforward, but you've got like 180 players. And like I say, out of 180 players, there's only actually 8 spots available. So not very much at all. And you've got obviously all the sort of best amateurs playing in them tournaments. And also you've got like the professionals that have just dropped off the tour. So, you know, very, very tough. It's only over a short period of time. But that's one of the ways. The other way, there's a Q Tour, it's called, which is more like over a full season. So there's amateur events like around the country and across Europe where you would play them and you would basically build up ranking points. And, you know, the number 1 player on the Q Tour, or maybe even top 2, I'm not quite sure, would get their tour card as well. So that's another way. The other sort of couple of ways would be the sort of what we call like the World Amateur Tournament, which is once a year. Which, like I say, basically anyone can enter as long as you can obviously afford it. It's normally there's been one in this country before, but there's not. It's normally abroad. So I think it was on back in January, and that was in Morocco, I think it was. So like I say, there's quite a lot of even traveling involved for even just them events. And at the same time, they had like the World Junior tournaments on as well. So basically the best junior in the world who won that has got a tour card as well for a couple of years. So they're sort of the main ways you're going to get your tour card. You know, there is other avenues, but you know, quite a few different ways. So we'll go on to the next question. So another question I get asked quite a lot is basically being a snooker player stressful? Which the short answer is probably yes. Obviously, it's sort of you know, a bit of a dream job, even if it's playing or even the coaching, to be honest, which obviously I really enjoy as well. But you know, when you first start playing, obviously you're playing snooker for pure enjoyment, and you know, even though I still sort of do, but it sort of changes quite a lot the more you play, and obviously the sort of higher level you're playing. You like I mentioned earlier in some of the other questions, probably the stressful stuff is, you know, it's sort of comes down to like money quite a lot, which is a shame in a way, because I know a lot of good players, which, you know, they've been very good players, but basically down to money, they've not been able to maybe play as much or for as long as they wanted. So, so yeah, the financial side can be stressful, obviously. Again, hence why I basically started the coaching quite a few years ago, just to give us sometimes a little bit of stability, you know, off the table. Other things stressful as well is obviously just purely the playing side of it. You know, it's a very hard game. That's mentally tough. You know, you're out there on your own really, and well, you know, I ideally put a lot of practice in to try and, you know, play to a very high level. And sometimes just with snooker, that just doesn't happen for whatever reason, and that can, you know, that can be quite hard sometimes when you feel like you've put the work in and you're not really getting the rewards for it. So yeah, it is stressful, but that's why for me, you've just got to try and stay quite even, you know, not get too high when it's going well, but also not too low when it's not going so well either. So another question I get asked quite a lot is, you know, when I'm doing the film, and how many takes did it take to do the shot or the routine we're doing. And believe it or not, you know, we only actually do sort of 2 hours of filming a week at the moment. So, you know, make that what you want really. We get quite a lot in. Most of it, you know, can happen first go or first or second try, but, you know, just trying to basically first try. So the other thing, obviously, I get asked a lot in the club, obviously in the comments, all the videos, is basically, is this my snooker room, or where's the snooker table? Is it in a loft? And basically, I'm, you know, very fortunate that the guy who I coach has got this facility in obviously his house in his loft space. So the whole room, you know, when he bought the house was you know, basically designed and built up again to have this, you know, full size snooker table in. So I come round here obviously to coach Mark at his house, but also we'll come here and do all of the content for you guys to watch, which is, you know, we're very fortunate to have. It's absolutely perfect. It's a lovely snooker table to play on. So, you know, makes sort of the job of doing all the videos a lot easier. So I hope you liked this sort of different style of video. Just basically going through a game and obviously, you know, answering some questions that I get asked quite a lot. So like I say, if you've got any other ideas, if you like this sort of video, make sure you know, leave a comment down below of what sort of questions you maybe want me to answer. Could be sort of stuff on the table, or sort of, like I say, more off the table stuff that not many people sort of obviously get to hear about, but because I've been there on the tour and experienced it all myself, I can sort of like answer a lot of these type of questions. So yeah, I thought it went quite well. Like I say, a bit more relaxed, just get to know a bit more about myself as well. So like I say, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like and subscribe to the video, and comment down below, and we'll see you soon.